Now, police in the Kenyan capital, Nairobi, have fired tear gas to try to prevent further anti-government protests from taking place. Activists earlier on placed empty coffins in front of riot police to draw attention to what they say is an excessive use of force. Demonstrators have also taken to the streets of other cities, including Mombasa and Kisumu. Last week, President William Ruto said he was going to drop the plans for new taxes, which had prompted the demonstrations. The number of those believed to have died in 2 weeks of clashes has risen to nearly 39, according to a statement from the Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights. Our correspondent Barbara Plett-Usher sent us this update from Nairobi.
There are running street battles between protesters and police here in the centre of Nairobi. Also, the main road to the city has been blocked. And there are protests in other parts of the country as well, in the port city of Mombasa and in the western parts of Kenya. The youth movement that triggered all of this is united in its anger against the president. They say he hasn't shown remorse for the people who were killed, and he hasn't taken accountability and responsibility. And so that has made them very angry. Many of them also believe that this is not over yet. They have won their battle against the tax bill, which the president was forced to withdraw, but they haven't won the war against what they see as corruption and excessive spending by political elites. But they are not united in a strategy for moving forward. For example, there was a call to come back to the streets today. Some came back, some did not. This is a movement without a formal leadership. They are proud of that. They see it as their strength. But it also means it's more difficult for them to organize a strategy for going forward with how to achieve what they want to achieve.
Well, let's speak to Dr. Simon Kigondu, President of the Kenyan Medical Association, who joins us from Nairobi. Dr. Kigondu, thank you very much for being with us. 39 people killed in these clashes. Can you tell me what you and your colleagues have seen?
Yeah, thank you very much. The Kenya Medical Association has been very active on the ground. We have helped, as part of a larger medical team, set up medical stations to take care in between the protesters over the last 2 weeks. And just to update you, 2 more people passed on today in the total count for the country. So that brings the deaths to 41. And today, again, 52 more injuries were sustained, and the Kenyatta National Hospital also received about 35 patients, and brings the total number of people injured in the protest to 413. We had 55 arrests done, and 682 is the total number to date. And there is a worrying issue of abductions, where people seemed to be organizing the protests are abducted, which is different from arrests. And that brings the number of abductions to 35. And all this is part of the protest, which was started by the Youth for Kenya. And it started initially as a result of the what seemed to be excessive taxation in the Finance Bill 2024 that has since been dropped by the president. And generally, as an association, we think this has fundamentally changed the politics of Kenya, because we are now seeing politicians have been barred from making speeches in churches, making speeches at funerals, because people view them as bringing back our tax money, which they seem to have acquired in not so good ways. So these fundamentally, the protests have fundamentally changed the politics of Kenya.
Dr. Kigondu, with those who have been injured and also those who have lost their lives, what kind of injuries have you seen?
The Medical Association did indeed visit the largest referral hospital, Kenyatta National Hospital, and we saw several very young people with gunshot wounds. And this was following, a large number of them were in various towns, but mainly the ones of Nairobi, where they actually went to Parliament, and live fire was opened to them by the police. And we've also had injuries from canisters, like tear gas canisters and rubber bullets, and others have also maybe during falls and stampedes. Our biggest worry was opening of live fire by police, which has been condemned. And that was taken to court, and the court actually advised against use of live bullets, rubber bullets, and even tear gas. And today's protest, despite them being quite large, seem to have, at least by 5 p.m., less sort of live bullets, more of tear gas and rubber bullets. But there are still some places where that is going on, and gunshot wounds were our main problem.
Dr. Kugondu, the President, William Ruto, has withdrawn the legislation. He says he's done that to appease the protesters. Nonetheless, this violence has happened. Do you hold the President personally responsible for these deaths?
So the members of Parliament who are voted yes to the bill have had it very rough with their constituents, because now the constituents are actually saying that the members of Parliament, who are supposed to be different from the executive, were actually arms of the executive, and they didn't think that the members of Parliament did what they are supposed to do. And now the members of Parliament who voted yes for the finance bill before it was eventually not signed into law by the president due to pressure, are having it a bit rough. But overall, at the end of the day, the president did not sign the bill into an act. But following an interview or two, a lot of people in the country were not very happy with what came out as lack of empathy for those who may have passed on.
Dr. Simon Kugondu from the Kenya Medical Association. Dr. Kugondu, thank you very much for talking to us.